time for Northwestern Outdoors Radio, brought to you by Loophole, America's optical authority. Check out their scopes, binoculars, and more at loophole.com. By Camp Chef, the way to cook outdoors. See what's cooking for you at campchef.com. By Wallowa County, nature never looks so good as it does in Northeast Oregon. Plan your trip today at WallawaCountyChamber.com. By Max Lure Company, makers of the Smile Blade and Wedding Ring Spinner. Find out more at maxlure.com. And by Mardon Resort, where the fish bite, but we don't. Book your next hunting, fishing, or camping getaway at mardonresort.com. Now, let's head to the field and find out what's going on this week with your host, Sean Cruz.
We've got a unique and really interesting show for you this week, taking you to Pendleton, Oregon. That's where the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation is located, and they're doing some great things outdoors, ranging from conservation to wildlife management and promoting outdoors tourism to include camping, fishing, hunting, and wildlife watching. We're going to start off our visit to Northeast Oregon by talking to Aaron Lamprey with the tribes about the Pacific lamprey. If you don't know what a lamprey is, I get that. It's a fish that looks like an eel. They've got a bad rap, but they are important to our ecosystem here in the Northwest, and they're on the decline. Fortunately, the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation are leading the way in trying to turn this around. We'll be taking you from lamprey recovery to the Wild Horse Resort and Casino, located just a couple of miles outside of Pendleton on the reservation off of Interstate 84. Tia DeGroff is the Director of Community Relations, and she's got some great ideas on things to do outdoors around here to include fishing, horseback riding, golfing, and wildlife watching. The resort makes a great base camp for all of this, and Tia will also be telling you about some upcoming events to include a powwow. In addition to that, she's going to tell you about the Wild Horse Foundation, which provides grant funding for a variety of different things to include conservation here in Northeast Oregon. Just a mile away from the Wild Horse Resort and Casino is the Tamusliks Cultural Institute. It's a first-rate facility that tells the tale of the Umatilla, Cayuse, and Walla Walla tribes over time and their connection to nature. The Institute is also hosting a temporary exhibit called Wolves and Wild Lands in the 21st Century that's really impressive. John Beavis, an interpreter and guide at the Cultural Institute, will join us to tell you not only about the exhibit, but also about the wolves that are living today on the reservation, how they're being managed, and the cultural significance of these animals to the tribes. We are spending most of our time around Pendleton this week, but we're venturing a few other places as well as we bring you outdoor news, field reports, and talk to Lance Mers during our extended Max Minute about fishing for walleye in Northwest reservoirs from Montana to Washington, and a lure that's going to help you get more fish in the boat. Throw in several upcoming events taking place over the 4th of July weekend, and it's gonna be a show full of fireworks. But first, David Sparks has another edition of Sportsman Spotlight, brought to you by our new sponsors at Shiloh Inn and Suites. Their motto is affordable excellence, and it's a motto they live up to. This week, David tells you about Strike Zone Charters, offering fishing trips off the Oregon coast near Winchester Bay and Reedsport, where our show is broadcast every week by our affiliate, 1030 KDUN.
A sea breeze in your face, fishing for cod, it's heavenly. David Sparks with Sportsman Spotlight. The website claims that Strike Zone Charters is one of the most experienced fishing charters on the Oregon coast. Charter fishing in Winchester Bay for 44 years. Strike Zone's owned and operated by husband and wife team Scott and Casey Howard. The Howard family has operated deep-sea salmon fishing charters in Winchester Bay since 1962. Always trying to serve, I called Scott Howard and asked him to give me an overview. Here he is.
Winchester Bay, the bottom fish structure here is in midwater depth. It's about 300 feet of water, but it's loaded with nice lingcod. So typically most anglers, most boats that leave out of Winchester Bay for a rock fishing trip target the lingcod first, and high success ratio on that. Often I tell people, if the weather's decent, I can catch a limit of lingcod for everybody on my boat, which is not that common up and down the coast.
And other than lingcod?
Sea bass type fish, mainly, like yellowtail rockfish. A lot of ports catch black rockfish, which is very similar to our yellowtail rockfish.
All bait and tackle is provided. You bring angling license, proper clothes, sunglasses, snack or lunch, camera, rain gear, and be ready for a great time. Phone number 800-230-5350. And, of course, we can't forget the website, strikezonecharters.com. This is David Sparks for Sportsman Spotlight.
They were our brothers, our sisters, sons and daughters. They were our parents, family, our neighbors, and our friends. How can we express the gratitude that we all owe the thousands and thousands of American veterans who have sacrificed so much for our country's freedom? It was they who stepped forward from the time this country was created to fight for everything we know about liberty and freedom. And although we celebrate their victories and console them for their losses by creating monuments and honoring them in parades, the truth is we can never do enough for the freedom they've given us. Perhaps the most important thing we can do is reach out to those veterans closest to us and simply tell them, thank you. Thank you for all you've done for freedom. All of us at Shiloh Inns would like to take this opportunity to recognize the many men and women who have served and continue to serve our country so that we will always be free. Thank you, veterans, from everybody at Shiloh Inns.
This is Commissioner of Public Lands Peter Goldmark. Whether you live on the west or east side of the Cascades, dry weather means greater risk of wildfire. Please respect burn bans and completely put out campfires. Get more information at dnr.wa.gov.
Back with Northwestern Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. We're talking about something really different this week, the Pacific lamprey. It's kind of a fish, I guess you could say, kind of an eel. They've got a bad rap, but they actually are a pretty important species, and there's some people trying to bring them back. With us here to tell us more, Aaron Jackson with the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation. Aaron, tell us about the lamprey. Where are they found in the Northwest?
Lamprey once existed in large numbers from Japan across the Pacific Rim down the west coast to Baja, Mexico was their historical range. Currently, right now, the populations are declining across that range, and numbers are dwindling within large tributaries such as the Fraser River and the Columbia River.
Now, the lamprey, is it a fish? Is it an eel? Is it something else?
It is a fish, and a lot of people think of them as eels. And matter of fact, tribal members referred to them as eels. But eels have bones and jaws and paired fins, and lampreys completely lack those things. These species are 450 to 500 million years old.
Wow.
So they really are some of the first and oldest organisms that we have out there in the realms of the fish world right now.
Aaron, the lamprey, one of the memories I have of them is growing up as a kid in Milwaukee, Oregon, and down by the Willamette River. You know, at certain times of year, that river would just stink with the smell of decaying carcasses of lamprey. And they were obviously very abundant then, but not so much now, 30, 40 years later. What's happened?
You know, we like to be able to pinpoint exactly what's going on with lamprey, but for the Columbia River specifically, the decline has really been tied to things such as the same things that affected the life and existence of salmon, such as impacts from logging, impacts from agriculture, impacts from fish poisoning efforts, and fish passage has been a problem as well through the main stem dams. And it's really had a large impact on the lamprey.
You know, the lamprey has got kind of a bad rap. I know I'm one of those kids who grew up seeing a lamprey sucking on a big Great Lakes lake trout, and basically that one picture said, "These are bad fish." But there's more to the lamprey than this historical snapshot, isn't there? I mean, they're more than that, aren't they?
Oh, very much so. You know, so we deal with those kind of calls and criticism all the time about why you were bringing these fish back. You know, they wiped out fish in the Great Lake, and that's really not what happened. Those were Atlantic sea lamprey that came through the canal system that invaded the Great Lakes and adapted to residualize within fresh water. The Pacific lamprey is a cousin of the Atlantic sea lamprey, but has a little different life history. It is not parasitic in fresh water. It's only parasitic out in the ocean. And as juveniles, they are filter feeders within the streams, and so they're cleaners of the streams. And also, as adults coming back, they represent a large biomass for predators to be able to feed upon besides salmon.
Well, there you go. That's all sorts of good things about the lamprey I never knew about. So thanks for explaining that. I also want to talk about something else. The lamprey, it has cultural significance to tribes that have historically lived along the Columbia River and its tributaries like the Umatilla. Tell me more about this.
Oh, definitely. The lamprey is considered to most of the Northwest tribes as one of their first foods, and it is something that tribal people have subsisted on since time immemorial, and they have utilized these in our ceremonies. They're found at the table at our longhouses, and they play a very important role in myth and legend as well amongst our Northwest tribal people.
I've got to ask, I've never had a lamprey. How does one prepare one, and how does it taste?
You know, lampreys have a very, let's say, acquired taste. Some people just love them. Matter of fact, I remember one tribal elder telling me when times were good, they would eat hamburgers, and when times were bad, they ate eel because they knew they could always rely upon it, and it was provided a good substance for them to carry themselves through seasons. And they're prepared traditionally by usually over an open fire. And lampreys have a high lipid content, which means they're very oily. And they would roast them over the open fire to kind of get some of that oil off of the fish, and then they would consume them. And other ways that they would prepare them as well during the summer months when we had a hot July or August wind, they would cut them and dry them on racks out in the open air.
Fascinating stuff. Folks, you're listening to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. We're talking to Aaron Jackson with the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation about the Pacific lamprey, a fish species you don't hear about much, that's for darn sure, but their numbers are declining, and the tribe and the Columbia River Intertribal Fish Commission, well, they're doing some work to try to bring them back. Why don't you tell me more about that, Aaron? What's going on in terms of restoration?
Yeah, so beginning in about, the 1970s, tribal members really started noticing a decline of lamprey across their usual and custom harvest areas. And it took many years of their diligent efforts and telling fish managers that the species was important and it needed to be considered for recovery. And beginning in about 1995, the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla received funding from Bonneville Power Administration to complete a status report, and that status report called for actions and recommendations to enhance lamprey and bring them back. And since 2000, we have been translocating adult lamprey into the Umatilla River. And so what happens there is that we go down to the main stem dams, collect these fish, we bring them into the basins that we've deemed that once supported a population, and we hold those adults until they're sexually mature and release them as part of a reintroduction program here in the Umatilla. And it's occurring also in the Yakima Basin and up in the Nez Perce land up in Idaho as well.
Interesting stuff. So it's almost like a lamprey hatchery that you have there on the Umatilla River.
Yeah, it is in a sense. Adult translocation really involves just putting out adult lamprey so they can spawn in these streams on their own. But we are also investigating artificial propagation as a method for recovery. You know, that's very much so in its infancy, and we're still learning about what it takes to get to a production scale like you see in the salmon world for a hatchery component for lamprey.
I've got to ask, are your efforts so far making a difference in terms of bringing the lamprey back?
That's a great question, and we're really excited here in Pendleton and here at the Confederated Tribes because we've been out planting adult lamprey since 2000. And each year we'd see, returns of just a handful of adults. And then beginning in 2011, we enumerated 129 adults. In 2012, we saw 104 adults. And then last year we saw over 300 adults return to the Umatilla River. So with that, it gives us a sense that we're on the right track to bring these fish back. And it may not be something that I see in my lifetime, that, a complete recovery to where we have a self-sustaining and harvestable population. But I'm working for generations ahead of me, and hopefully one day, my kids or their kids' kids will get to have the opportunity to harvest lamprey back in our tribal harvest locations.
The great thing about this show is that, like you, I also get to learn things when we do these interviews, and I feel so much informed about the lamprey and what the tribes are doing to bring them back after this conversation. We've got to go, but before we do, is there a website where people can find out more about what the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation are doing to bring the lamprey back?
The best website to go to would be CRITFC, CRITFC.org. On their homepage, there's a link to a new video, I believe, that should be available hopefully later this year. It's called The Lost Fish, and it's about the Pacific lamprey and what the tribes are doing to erase awareness and for restoration purposes. And also there should be a link to our Tribal Pacific Lamprey Restoration Plan. And that's really a 4-tribes effort in what we're doing in the Columbia to restore lamprey.
The website again is critfc.org. That's for the Columbia River Intertribal Fish Commission, critfc.org. Go ahead and check it out and find out what's going on with the Pacific lamprey and how the tribes are bringing them back. Aaron, thanks for telling us all about this fascinating species on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the time. I appreciate it.
That's the sound you hear when a fish hits the new Sonic bait fish from Max Lure Company. This metal lure can be cast, trolled, or jigged and will catch just about anything that swims in the sea, the river, or the lake. The Sonic bait fish has a unique vibration and flutter that can be rigged in 7 different ways. With all sorts of eye-catching colors and weights available, you'll be reaching for the Sonic bait fish as your go-to lure. It's the Sonic bait fish. Only from Max Lure Company.
You demand quality performance from your binoculars, whether you use them in the field, on the water, or at a stadium. But you don't want to spend a fortune. That's where the BX McKenzie binoculars from Leupold come in. These armored, waterproof binoculars are both comfortable and dependable. Look for your McKenzie binoculars at quality sporting goods retailers near you, to include your Cabela's, Sportsman's Warehouse, or Northwest Bi-Mart stores. BX McKenzie, bringing your world into sharper focus, only from Leupold.
We're back with John Cruz on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
It's time for another Max Minute.
Fish on!
Brought to you every week by Max Lure Company. With us again is Lance Mers with Max Lure Company. Lance, the walleye bite is really going well in places like Montana's Fort Peck Reservoir, as well as Washington waters like Moses Lake, Potholes Reservoir, and Banks Lake too. What is a lure you'd recommend people use to get some of those walleye, some of the tastiest fish out there in the boat?
John, since they just finished spawning, one of the great things to use is a double whammy walleye. And the reason why is because they're putting their feed bags on right now. So the double whammy walleye by Max Lure is deadly for light biters, short strikers, and aggressive feeders.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about how to fish this. Basically, you're going to have this spinner, this inline spinner, that's going to have, 3 feet a leader behind a bottom bouncer weight that you're trolling behind the boat?
Yep, you got it, John.
Now, this is a 2-hook rig, so I assume it's designed specifically for worms and night crawlers.
It is. It's actually got a 2 1/4 inch hook space in between it. And the best way to do this is take a night crawler and put it on that top rig and let the rest of the hook just glide in the water. Don't even hook it to that second hook. I've found a lot better results in that setup there.
Very interesting tip, and one I have not done before. I'm going to try that. One other thing we need to talk about that's part of the double whammy is that Mylar blade that spins at ultra slow speed. Comes in different colors, and so does the double whammy lure itself. Any colors in particular you recommend for this time of year, especially when the water can be stained?
Well, that's the beauty of this double whammy walleye. It's got a 1 1/2 inch Max Lure Smile blade and comes in 9 different styles with a size 4 hook on all of them. Grab more than a couple. If the water clarity is not very crystal clear, go with a darker color. If the water clarity is very good, then go ahead and use those lighter colors.
Well, there you go. It's the double whammy from Max Lure Company. Look for the double whammy in your local sporting goods store and wherever they sell Max Lure products. Max Lure, makers of the patented Smile Blade and world-famous wedding ring spinner.
Ah, the great outdoors. I'm ready for a great weekend of camping at this remote campground. But first, I think I'll invite my camp neighbors over for a meal of fire-roasted hot dogs and baked beans. Dum-de-dum, dum-de-dum. Hi, neighbors. I just came over to...
Pizza!
Hey, is that pizza you're eating? How did you get pizza out in the middle of nowhere?
Pizza!
Thanks. Oh, this is delicious. A pizza oven operated on a propane canister and another on the top of your camp stove? And they're both made by Camp Chef? I know Camp Chef made great stuff for outdoors cooking, but this? I've got to get one of these pizza ovens from Camp Chef. No more beans and weenies for this guy. From now on, it's artisan pizza for me when I'm camping.
Pizza! The Camp Chef Pizza Oven. Bake your own artisan masterpiece on your back patio or at the campground. Find out more at your local sporting goods dealer.
Looking for the ultimate salmon and halibut fishing experience at a great price? Then make plans to enjoy the real news for the Wild Northern Fish-In. Taking place August 23rd through the 26th. You'll be fishing the protected waters around British Columbia's Queen Charlotte Islands during the day and enjoying first-class food and accommodations at night. If you want an incredible saltwater fishing experience you'll never forget, the Wild Northern Fish-In is for you. Find out more at therealnews.com. That's the real REEL news.com for the Wild Northern Fish-In. Welcome back to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. We're broadcasting from Pendleton, Oregon. A lot of you think of Pendleton as a place where there's a big rodeo every summer, but you know what? It's also where the Wild Horse Resort Casino is located. Fantastic place owned by the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation, just about 2-3 miles outside of town. Great views from this resort of the Blue Mountains. With us here to tell us more about the resort and some of the things you can do outdoors around here is Tia DeGroft, the Director of Community Relations.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Tia, so glad to be here. I absolutely love this place for a whole bunch of reasons. But why don't we go ahead and start off by just giving our listeners an overview of what they're going to find here at this resort and casino.
Well, it's really what you won't find. We have almost everything you're going to need, from a championship golf course to an RV park to a gorgeous 300-room hotel, 7 restaurants, and of course 24-hour Las Vegas-style casino, all of favorite games. Just no shortage of things to do here at Wild Horse.
Well, we're actually standing right outside the doors to a very nice indoor pool. There's also a wing of the hotel here, folks, that's pet friendly. And if you're one of those people that likes to go to these resort casinos here in the Northwest, you know, pet friendly rooms are hard to find. So I love the fact that you have them, but let's talk more about these tower rooms. These are pretty new and they're just gorgeous.
They are. We're very proud of them. We built them in 2011 in our latest expansion, and a lot of thought went into those. Everything from Keurig coffee makers to air-cooled refrigerators, which you don't get that loud generator noise that comes on in the middle of the night. All the girls will like the bathrooms, the mirrors, the big showers. They're really gorgeous, gorgeous rooms. Also has a fitness center, a business center, and then even down to the decor is really tribal and special to us. When the architects were going through, they went over to Temescallik, our cultural institute, and looked at the exhibits over there. They found some patchwork quilts and kind of worked that into the bedding and the headboards. They looked at the tribal drums and built that into the lampshades. You'll see blue behind the check-in counter in the lobby, and that's to symbolize the waterfalls that we have around here that are so important to the fishing that happens with the tribe. So all the little details, a lot of thought has gone into everything.
Like you said, there's so much going on here at the resort and casino, you might be tempted not to leave. But if you're looking out your windows, whether from the courtyard wing of the hotel or from the tower rooms, you're going to see the Blue Mountains, and they're just gorgeous in the summer. I mean, you have those deep greens and the changing colors and the shadows playing across them as the clouds go overhead, and you're going to be thinking to yourself, you know, maybe I should get outside. Maybe there is some stuff to do. Now, Tia, I know you're a cowgirl and you like to ride horses, so why don't we start off with that? What are a few places that people might want to go ride?
Well, there's tons of places to go. Obviously, a lot of wide open fields. Don't get in the planted wheat fields. The farmers don't like that much, speaking from experience. But there's a lot of summer fallow fields. We also have a lot of great trail rides that you can go up in the Umatilla Forest Service land. And one place in particular is the Immigrant Springs Park, which is just between here and Meacham, almost to Meacham. And it has miles and miles of trails, stalls for your horses, picnic areas, places big enough to pull your horse trailer over, which is important to people too. So there's no shortage of places to wander around.
You were telling me a story earlier about how your dad used to take you fishing. Where was that at?
Well, we'd go all over. I always like to go at the Umatilla, which is just right here running through Pendleton. We'd go up to the Columbia. One of our favorite was Wolf Creek Reservoir between LeGrand and Baker, just because it was nice and quiet and just peaceful scenery. If Dad could get me to stop talking, it was peaceful scenery anyway.
Another thing I want to talk about here is you actually have a lake right on the reservation. It's got a campground. It's got some trout fishing as well. It's Indian Lake, isn't it?
Yes, we do have Indian Lake, and there's lots of camping. It is stocked with fishing. We have a kids' fishing derby up there every year, and it's a great place, again, to go wander around. There's huckleberry picking and morel picking and all kinds of great just hikes to go on and have that kind of as your base camp.
Well, there you go. Now, tribal fishing permit is required if you're going to head up there to Indian Lake, but another reason to come over here here and explore. And one other thing I want to mention, bird watching. Your golf course actually has a huge variety of birds. Do you actually have people come here for that reason?
We have people come here all the time. There is a yellow-headed blackbird that is hard to find anywhere else, and we actually have a whole family population of them out on our golf course, so we get a lot of people that come just to see that, and they have to dodge the golf balls every so often if I'm on the course. But other than that, it's a great place to bird watch.
Not only that, I actually went on a walk to the Cultural Institute. It's just about a mile down the road and definitely worth a visit. We'll tell you more about that during this show. But just during that short walk, I saw the yellow-headed blackbirds, I saw red-winged blackbirds, I saw mourning dove, I got to see killdeer, I saw hawks overhead. I mean, there is a lot of bird life, and again, wonderful setting. So we've got the wildlife watching, we've got the fishing, we've got the horseback riding, so a lot to do here. But in addition to all of that, you also have events.
We have the powwow grounds just outside the casino, right at the base of the Blue Mountains. We hold an annual powwow every 4th of July. It's a great cultural event to come see. You can get fry bread and native arts. There's lots of vendors, and of course, watch the dancing. It's gorgeous. It's 3 days long. It starts Friday and goes all the way through Sundays. And then throughout the summer, we also have, we call them our backyard barbecues and concerts. So you can wander outside for free entertainment and barbecues and bring a blanket and lay in the grass and enjoy it.
That sounds fantastic. Let's talk a little bit more about this powwow. Is it just the tribes that are here as part of the Confederated Tribe of the Umatilla Indian Reservation, which focuses the Walla Walla, the Umatilla, and the Cayuse tribes, or is it more than that participate?
No, there's a whole circuit, and there's powwow magazines, so we advertise in that, and we get competitors from Montana, Kansas. I think we've had them even from down in kind of the South Florida type area that have come up. Our host drum this year is from the Washington area. There's also a drum competition that goes along with the dancing competitions. So it's really a pull for tribal communities all over the country.
That sounds absolutely fascinating. And I never would have known until you said it there was such a thing as Powwow Magazine. So thanks for that, too. So you've got the powwow. Let's talk a little bit more about these, summer night barbecues and concerts. Now, last year, I'm still kicking myself because you actually hosted Lyle Lovett. And okay, I know some of you out there listening are thinking, what, Lyle Lovett, what's the big deal? Trust me, I love Lyle Lovett. And I missed him. I could have came here and saw him, and I missed him. Now, are you getting bigger names like that again this year, or are you going a little bit more regional?
This year, we're going to go regional. We wanted to have some more concerts. We'll have some inside, but we are also going to do the outside. We're working on booking them right now as far as the outside concerts go. The inside, we're going to have some tribute bands. The USO tour is going to be here. We're pretty excited about that, but they, like you said, they're beautiful nights. We have an RV park that you can stay in your camper and walk over to the powwow grounds. If you don't have a camp trailer, there's tent camping available there, or you can rent a teepee and stay the night in a teepee here at Wild Horse as well.
Sounds fantastic. So again, folks, whether you want to come here and just stay and play indoors and enjoy the good food, enjoy the pool, maybe do a little bit of golfing and play the slots or play the table games, they've got all that. They got great rooms for you to stay in. If you want to, again, spend some time outside, go to the golf course for golf, for some wildlife watching, head up to Indian Lake for some fishing, or, maybe bring a horse and head on up to Emigrant Springs State Park or some of the national forest land up there in the Blue Mountains. There's a whole lot to do around here in the Pendleton area, and I have a feeling we're just touching the surface. Tia, let's talk about another thing here, a little bit off topic, but I really want to give kudos to the fact that there's a foundation that you go ahead and help manage, the Wild Horse Foundation, and you actually disperse funds through a 4-county area for a lot of good causes, to include things like salmon preservation and land conservation as well.
We do, yeah. Part of our state gaming compact is to give back to our surrounding communities. So we give to Wallowa, Union, Umatilla, and Morrow counties in Oregon, and then our ceded territory in Washington, which is basically the Walla Walla and Tri-Cities areas. And we have a wide variety of things that we can give to. We do it on a quarterly basis. Education seems to get the most funding, but we also, like you said, give to conservation, art history, historical preservation, salmon preservation, all sorts of things. So again, that's on our website at wildhorseresort.com. Take a look. I'm sure if you're a part of a nonprofit group, we're able to help you out in some way, and we'd love to.
And in the interest of full disclosure, folks, I've got to tell you, indirectly, the Wild Horse Foundation supports Northwestern Outdoors Radio, too, because the Wallowa County Chamber of Commerce is a sponsor of ours. They've applied for grants from the Wild Horse Foundation. They've gotten them, and they're using that money to promote outdoors tourism throughout Northeast Oregon. So let me directly say thank you for that indirect support.
We are very welcome to do it. On your way to Wallowa County, stop by Wild Horse and see where all the funding comes from.
Before we go, let's give people a website and a phone number to find out more.
Sure. WildHorseResort.com is our website. It has tons of information. Or you can give us a call at 800-654-9453, which is 800-654-WILD.
There you go. That's 800-654-WILD, 800-654-WILD, or go to the website where you can actually book online at wildhorseresort.com. That's wildhorseresort.com, located in Pendleton. Great place to stay and play, or come on out here and play outdoors. Tia, thanks for telling us all about it on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Thank you. We look forward to having you back.
Pheasants Forever is working hard every day to ensure there's more wildlife habitat for the future. To join us, go to pheasantsforever.org.
Welcome back to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. It's time again for news and reports from the field, brought to you every week by Mardon Resort. The bass and walleye bite has been fantastic this spring at Eastern Washington's Potholes Reservoir, and if you haven't been out there to go fishing yet, you are missing out. They are catching both species from boats, but there are also some nice bass being taken right off the docks, too. Find out more about the fishing and staying here while you do it at mardonresort.com, with a new area catering to big rig RVs, and with cabins, cottages, hotel rooms, and tent sites. There are accommodations for everyone, and with a store and restaurant on site, you'll never want to leave. The website again, mardonresort.com. Mardon Resort, where the fish bite, but we don't. We start off with news with impact on both a national and regional level. The American Bird Conservancy has filed a lawsuit against the Obama administration for giving a 30-year pass to wind farms that kill protected bald and golden eagles. It's becoming a well-known fact that the green power generated by these big wind turbines is killing eagles and other raptors on a regular basis. The Conservancy's suit contends the Obama administration's 30-year waiver to wind farms allowing them to kill or injure these birds without fear of prosecution is wrong and is harmful to eagle populations. We'll see what impacts this litigation has on some of these wind farm projects that have been growing like big white weeds in both eastern Washington and Oregon, as well as the Columbia River Gorge. Near Corvallis, Oregon, E.E. Wilson Pond is going, and soon to be gone. The Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife is draining the popular fishing pond, and limits have been increased so you can now keep up to 10 trout and 10 bass. However, you only have until Monday the 30th to do so. After that, all the fish left in what is becoming a very, very tiny body of water are going to be taken to an undisclosed holding facility. The pond is being drained to control the excessive vegetation that's grown there. They'll fill it up again, but it's not expected to be fishable until next year. Finally, in Idaho, the Fish and Game Department says several new rules are going into effect on July 1st that will benefit hunters. A bill has lowered the age to hunt big game in Idaho to 10 years of age, though kids under 12 have to be accompanied by a licensed adult, and the young boys and girls do have to pass that hunter education exam. Another bill expands the number of organizations eligible to assist veterans apply for one of the 5 disabled veterans special big game tags available every year in Idaho. A final bill allows the Fish and Game Commission to write rules to add turkey and bear to the Landowner Appreciation Program. That program issues tags to landowners whose property provides valuable habitat for game animals. Like I said, this is all good news for hunters in the Gem State. Next up on Northwestern Outdoors Radio, we're going to be bringing you a very interesting piece from the Temuslik Cultural Institute. It's about a mile down the road from the Wild Horse Resort Casino in Pendleton, and this is a first-rate facility, folks. I'll tell you what, if you want to learn about the culture and the history of the Confederated tribes on the Umatilla Indian Reservation, about the Umatilla tribe, the Cayuse tribe, the Walla Walla tribe, and everything that they've been through, this is a place to go, and it's extremely well done. With us here to tell us more about the Institute and about a brand new exhibit, Wolves in Wild Lands, is John Beavis. He's an interpreter here at the museum. John, welcome to the show.
Right on, thank you.
John, Wolves in Wild Lands, this is a temporary exhibit. I know it's on loan from Minnesota, I think the University of Minnesota, and it's here till August 10th. This is really incredible. And it doesn't just tell the story of the wolves here in the Northwest like I thought it was going to. There's all sorts of wolves you have in terms of taxidermy.
Oh, yeah. It's a pretty good exhibit. They almost look like they're ready to run off the plate. But, yeah, they're even talking about the Mexican wolf and their cousin, the coyote, and all of that.
I saw very striking an Arctic wolf in there. I saw a species I wasn't even familiar with, the red wolf that inhabits a very small portion of North Carolina. And there's not just the taxidermy, which, like you said, is some of the most lifelike taxidermy I've ever seen, but there's a lot of good information as well. And another component is a local component. There's actually video that's captured by a trail cam right here on the Umatilla Indian Reservation that shows some wolves that live here.
Yeah, that's right. They're right there in our Blue Mountains ceded territory. They come over from Idaho, I believe.
Now, I understand the tribe is basically welcoming these wolves back, but they're managing them in a way that's very similar to the way the state of Oregon is managing them, to go ahead and try to help livestock owners in the area and compensate them for losses.
Yeah, they play a pretty good part in our culture and things like we get a lot of our names from them as well.
Well, I want to ask you about that because I know that, for instance, coyote is a huge part of tribal culture, but I've never really heard of the wolf being too far involved. Tell me a little bit more about how the wolf is significant to tribal culture here.
Well, with the wolf, the warriors and scouts would model themselves after the wolf. And as a matter of fact, in our dialect, howlish means wolf. And when you speak of a warrior, you will say howlish ma. Kind of like how the Yakimas will use Yakima, which is really a Yakima. They're from the black bear. And so when we say howlish ma, that means of the wolf, which means you're either a scout or you're a warrior. And we love the characteristics of the animal, you know, the mate for life, the courage, the family orientation, the pack takes care of each other, you know, and so it's kind of the same way with the Natitite here that long time ago we'd have to all pitch in.
Well, I love that. And, folk, Howlish lives on today in a name for the local lacrosse team here on the reservation as well. So, again, this is a really neat exhibit, and it's part of a larger exhibit that you'll find here at the Temuslicht Cultural Institute, Pendleton, Oregon. Come out here prior to August 10th if you want to see the wolves, but anytime if you want to see the rich history, a lot of it intertwined with the outdoors, located right here on the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation. We better go ahead and give people your hours and the days that you're open.
We are open from Monday to Saturday, 10 o'clock till 5 o'clock.
That's Monday through Saturday from 10 to 5. And if you want to go to the website, get ready to write this one down because it's not an easy one to remember. It's Temuslicht, and I'm going to spell it TAMASTSLIKT.org. That's Temuslicht.org, or just drop on by Monday through Saturday from 10 to 5. Find out about the wolves and find out about a whole lot more in this beautiful setting in Northeast Oregon. John, thanks for telling us all about it on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
All right, thank you. Come on by and visit us.
The road is calling you to experience one of Oregon's 7 wonders, the Wallowas. So grab your camping equipment and fishing gear and head out to Northeast Oregon, where you'll find the views are endless, the air crisp and clean, and the water's cold and clear. Set up camp by the shores of Wallowa Lake or in the heart of the Wallowa-Whitman National Forest. Take your fishing gear and cast your bait into the deep waters of Wallowa Lake, or roll your fly into one of the eddies of the many freestone creeks and rivers teeming with fish. This summer, take the road that leads to wonders. It begins at WallowaCountyChamber.com.
I'd like to tell you I just brought down that buck, but I didn't. I missed. And you know why I missed? Because of the scope I've got on my rifle. You see, my friends told me to get a Leupold rifle scope. Why? Well, because Leupold is America's optical authority. They make a huge variety of quality scopes for every need, and they make them right here in the Northwest. Unfortunately, I didn't listen. I used the cheap scope that came with this rifle when I bought it. And when it came time to pull the trigger, well, let's just say things were a little blurry. Now, I've got nothing to look forward to except a long, empty-handed walk back home. Next time I come out into the field, there's going to be a Leupold scope on my rifle. And next time, I'm not going to miss.
Leupold rifle scopes. Check out the whole line at Leupold.com and look for them at a sporting goods store near you.
Psst, yeah. You, the guide, outfitter, or outdoors business owner who's listening to Northwestern Outdoors Radio, have you ever thought of becoming a sponsor of our show? We've got local sponsor opportunities at all 50 of the stations that carry Northwestern Outdoors every week, and we've got some network opportunities too. If the outdoors is your business, we can help you with your advertising needs. Contact me, John Cruz, through our website at northwesternoutdoors.com for more information. That's northwesternoutdoors.com, helping you get the word out about your outdoors company.
Confused by so many national brand hotel reward programs? Blackout dates, expiration dates, different points for different hotel rewards, and gimmicks? At Shiloh Inn Suites Hotels, it's simple. No blackout dates for any rewards stay. If we have a room available, it's yours. Hi, I'm Mark Hemstreet, owner of Shiloh Inns. As a rewards member, you'll receive free room upgrades, a dedicated personal agent to help book your stay, points that don't expire, points that can be used for free nights at any one of our beautiful hotels, or donations to your local school or free airline tickets, and much more. And as a special bonus, you'll earn 100 free bonus points just for signing up. From your very first stay, you receive free Wi-Fi, free breakfast at most locations. The kids stay free. We don't charge ridiculous resort or parking fees, and we're dog-friendly. Shiloh Inns, affordable excellence. American-owned and proud of it.
Hey, everybody, school together for a fish perspective, huh? Hey, where are y'all going?
Dad, we're not moving, you are!
Dad, come back here this second!
Dad, you're in a rip current! Swim parallel to the shore!
A rip what?
Rip currents can appear anywhere along the Oregon coast. Remember to swim parallel to the shoreline and then back to shore. Fred was lucky. Alex knew what to do. Be aware of rip currents. Make sure your good times on the Oregon coast stay good times. Respect the beach.
We're back with one last cast from John Cruz on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Let's run through some upcoming events before we go. We hope you enjoyed our visit to the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation in Northeast Oregon this week. If you're looking for an excuse to head there, beyond all the outdoors fun we talked about and the great resort casino you'll find there, we'd like to remind you about that big powwow featuring Indian dancers from all over the nation that's taking place from July 4th through the 6th. July 4th will also feature fireworks shows, big and small, all over the Northwest, and one of my favorite places to watch them, mainly because the show just seems to go on forever, is on the beaches near Tokeland in southwest Washington. Lone Pine State Park near Kalispell, Montana is another place to take in a fireworks show from 9 to 11:30 on the 4th. After that, you can camp overnight and then go for a guided nature hike in the park from 11 to noon on Saturday. Another great place to enjoy the 4th of July weekend is at Mardon Resort at Eastern Washington's Potholes Reservoir, where you'll get to enjoy, get this, a golf cart parade. Yeah, you heard that right. Followed by a fireworks show in front of the resort at dusk on Saturday the 5th. Detroit Lake State Park, east of Salem, Oregon, also has a fireworks show on the 5th and other festivities during the day. And in Idaho, you may not see fireworks, but if the weather is clear, you'll see the sun, planets, and stars from the Bruno State Park Observatory from 8 p.m. to well into the dark, thanks to the telescopes they've got set up for you, especially one equipped to go ahead and do some solar viewing so you can see that setting sun. Finally, you can always put on your own fireworks show. However, if you decide to do so in the coming week, please do so safely and don't do it within state or national parks or on Forest Service lands because, number one, it can start a wildfire in a hurry. Number two, it's not allowed. And number three, you can get a hefty fine if you do so. And with that cautionary note, we'll wrap up the show. If you get a chance, go to our website at northwesternoutdoors.com. You'll find links to find out more about our guests. You'll find previews of upcoming shows and audio from our most recent show, too. We also have a Facebook page. That's Northwestern Outdoors Radio. Go ahead and like us and follow us. We're always putting up information about the outdoors here in the Northwest, and a lot of it just doesn't make the show because we've only got so much time to cover so many things. Until next time, take care. God bless America on this upcoming 4th of July weekend. Thank a veteran when you see him or her, and make it a point to spend some time outdoors.
The road is calling you to experience one of Oregon's 7 wonders, the Wallowas. So grab your hiking boots and camera and capture the beauty and grandeur of Northeast Oregon's Wallowa County. Experience nature like never before when you saddle up and ride into the Eagle Cap Wilderness, hike the trails of the Wallowas, hear the wind rush through the bunch grass and view the wildlife of the Zumwalt Prairie, or ride the churning waters of the wild and scenic Wallowa, Snake, and Grand Ronde rivers. This summer, take the road that leads to wonders. It begins at WallowaCountyChamber.com.
Hot summer nights mean hot morning fishing for sockeye here in the Northwest, and Max Lure Company has got what you need to catch a limit with the Double D Dodger and 2 great sockeye rigs. The Double D Dodger has a unique, fast, slow action and can be fished away from the boat without a side planer. The Cha-Cha Sockeye Rig and Double Whammy Sockeye Pro both feature a patented smile blade and 2 stout red hooks that won't let go of that salmon when it bites. Max Lure Company, getting you into the sockeye this summer.
I'm Ward Burton. Think that's fast? That's nothing compared to how fast America is losing its wildlife habitat. Join the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation and help us protect millions of acres. Visit elkfoundation.org or call 1-800-CALL-ELK.